the best part is that, say the director comes in, right? Because that's the director comes in is like, I don't want it to land here. I want him to land somewhere else. And you'll be like, but I've already done so much work, right? But what you could do, you could just say, take these frames, okay, and then move them somewhere else. And then Autophysics will just
make the job.
Propel this animation throughout.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Ebbs and Flow. I'm Chris Ebeling, aka Ebbs. I'll be your host. And on this show, I have the amazing Max Makishi join us. Max Makishi is a industry vet with over 15 years of experience as a CG generalist working on films, TV shows, music videos, and lately Max has joined the Cascadeur team to become a content creator. And what Max never knew was he has become an animator. And this is due to the power of Cascadeur. Cascadeur is a new 3D animation software which uses AI very cleverly that is sending shockwaves through the industry. There are a lot of amazing demos out there, and today Max is going to take us through one of his. So I'm excited to talk to Max about Cascadeur and everything in between and what this means for the future of our industry and also how you can get on board and try Cascadeur. I hope you join us. See you at the show. With us today is Max Makishi. Max, welcome to the show where I'm so excited to talk to you and hear about all the great work you've done in the past, but also the great work you're doing today. So please, Max, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm very happy to be here. Currently work for Cascadeur, so I'm a motion designer and also I'm a presenter here. So all the new features I present to the audience, and also I run workshops for companies and clients to sort of like showcase them, onboard them, show them around, and I think I'm becoming an animator myself because, my story is that I've been doing CGI for like 15 years before I joined Cascadeur, but it was mostly like, rendering or camera tracking or compositing, I love that kind of stuff, green screen, all these things, but I have always hated animation with like, I hate it. And the reason I did was because every time I tried to approach it, I would find myself in a situation where it would be very complex. It would be very rigid. Like the whole process would be very rigid. I tend to tell this story where, I was making this animation of a person sort of like sitting down, like reading a magazine, then throwing the magazine away and then kicking the box. And I felt like I did such a good job with it. And then when I showed it to the customer, they were like, yeah, we love the animation, but there were a couple of changes were made. Like, could this person be standing and doing those things? And in my mind, I was like, I should be able to do this, right? Because it should be possible, right?
Yes.
And it wasn't because I added all those extra keyframes for secondary motion. So I had to completely scratch that and do it, from start, and that kind of broke me because it felt like, I have to know exactly what I was doing before I got to a particular point there. And with my with my brain, it got in a very uncomfortable state because of that. So I felt like, no animation for me, no thank you. I'll just do my compositing. I will enjoy rendering, and that's also that's where Cascadeur sort of like completely flipped it. Like,
Max, if I interject, I mean, you're speaking to an animator, so I used to animate keyframe animation for almost a decade, and yes, it is very tedious work. And I would say to the person who changed him from sitting to standing, that would be the director that should know what he wants in a shot before he gets you to do that, right? Because that is very complex. Yeah.
That's the problem. They don't.
Yeah.
Most of the times, there's a lot of things that change, and you have to adapt as well. But it's kind of like having this in the back of your mind, knowing that if you change something past this point, it's just impossible. It's easier to go from scratch than.
Those notes should have come from storyboarding, or at least from your blocking stage, when you put like your key poses in, and he would. But I agree with you 1,000,000%. Like directors, they love to change their mind when you're like 99% there and go, oh, what about if we put this in there instead? And you just go, it's a grueling work, but adaptability is key, right? You have to, it's their show, you're working for them.
No, fair enough. But like this process, when we choose what we do in life, we tend to choose what's comfortable for us, and that was definitely a very uncomfortable place to be for me and for my brain.
Yeah. So tell us about. So then you got into compositing, VFX work, and different side. I mean, there's so many aspects of VFX, which is amazing, and you found your niche. And then Cascadeur came along. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that was very much an interesting coincidence, because I knew I had known the founder of Cascadeur for quite a few years before I joined the team, and I remember him telling me about this is the vision, this is what it should be like, and that was just like a PDF presentation. Later on, I just posted a couple of YouTube videos on my channel, and they saw the videos and they were like, well, we need a content creator like this. We need, some editing. We need the voiceover, and we need, someone who could potentially maybe in the future present it to other people. I was like, I'm not an animator. And it took me a while to try it. But like, what I started as a content creator, and then I thought of, I looked at I started to work in the software, and it felt like that's different, because it's no longer rigid. It's no longer like, this is the point of no return. I don't see it. At any point you can go back and then, just redo things or add things or change things without being scared to lose what you've got. Or you can, upcycle, certain animations and stuff like this. And that was then, and now it's a completely different software. Not in terms of like it has grown so much that, and I warmed up to the idea of animating so much, and I even like, because we advertise Cascadeur as like time saving. It's quick to get into and stuff, and put that to test, because I got a couple of gigs. And one of the side gig was actually during one of the releases. And I thought, like, that's a very time-pressed, how do you say, period of time, right? Yeah. So if I were able to complete like an animation gig along with a release, that would be,
it's a testament
of concept.
Yeah, a testament to the software, the power and the speed of this, right?
Yeah, and I did actually. And I spent less time on the animation than I spent on working on the releases.
That's so cool. Well, look, I'm so excited to dive in. I mean, I've seen Cascadeur, and this is also why I reached out to you guys, Tom and yourself, because I've seen it pop up online, like LinkedIn, and so many people are so happy about it, and it's really empowering people's workflows. As you said, it's way more intuitive. It's not as rigid. You can change things much quicker. So I'd love, like. What problem, it's I guess we've already answered that question. What problem is it solving? It's speed, empowering creativity. People like yourself who didn't like animation are now animators, you could say. What else? What other problems do you think it's solving?
It solves this. I believe that there's a very high thresholds, like entry thresholds for animation, because, before you even start animating, you have to be able to build a rig, or to understand how rigging works. And it's a very tedious process. And then when it comes to animating itself, there's so many things that you have to understand about, like body mechanics, like what kinematics, inertia, physics, and certain things that, that make animation actually look appealing, right? And oftentimes there's just nothing to start from. And Cascadeur gives you this very good base you can start from. I think I can just share my screen and show you around.
Let's go.
If you want.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
Like, imagine you just have a character, right? And don't know what to do with it. So you can have your scene, and then you can just import, literally like drag and drop the character. So this is the full process. And then it prompts you like to go into rig mode. So you need to rig it. It means to create all those controllers.
Yes.
Then it recognizes it's a humanoid, so you might want to use the quick rigging tool. And this quick rigging tool often does all the work for you. So if you're importing any kind of character which is in our database, which is from DES 3D, Unreal Engine, Human IK from Maya, so Rigify, all the kind of the softwares that we support, it will just recognize it automatically. So you will have to do literally nothing, just click the button. If it's not recognized, the naming is not recognized. You just drag and drop, for example, like this point, like you go pelvis, okay, this is pelvis. So I'll drop pelvis into pelvis, stuff like this. And you have to do this once, literally for any custom rig, then you can save it as a template. And next time you import it, it just recognizes it automatically. But as a new person who just got in software, you can just go like, okay, generate the rig. You don't have to understand what's going on here. And you already presented with, all the necessary set of controllers to pose your character and to animate your character. So that's the first thing which is very simple, right? And the next thing that we have is called this auto-posing rig, right? So this is the AI powered rig, which sort of works as in the way that it predicts the position of the points that you don't activate, of the points that are inactive. So as you can see, the blue points are the active points and all the green points are inactive. So if I'm just moving the blue point, it assumes the position of all the rest of the points based on those two, right? But if I were to say that, okay, I want you to keep this direction, right? So I'm sort of like activating the direction for the character and then move.
So you locked it into that axis. You locked it into that axis, right? And then now it's going to do all the movements and assume what movements you're looking for. It's amazing. Wow. Okay. I see this.
Yeah, but it's sort of, you see, like, it kind of like, and the more things you have active, the less work, the less change, the less changes auto-posing will make. And this is a very quick way to sort of like, get you, some cool like poses for the character, because, well, then.
And now you can go in and fix that if you wanted to, right? You can go and move that. Yeah, exactly. And it just automates. And if you wanted to lock in those hips, you could just click on the hip and lock that, and then that would stay in place. And it would then
it would stay like relative.
Relative,
right? So now from if I'm moving
there you go.
for body, the hip stays, right? The coolest thing here is that when you specifically with a humanoid or human-like, because robots, we can sort of like excuse a lot of things about how these joints work, because it's all mechanical. We don't really see a lot of mistakes. But normally the rig that you would normally use would be, for example, like this. It would be like you raise the hand and then nothing happens to the shoulder. Only when you get to the relaxation point, when you're actually stretching, then the shoulder goes up. But with auto-posing rig, the difference is, let me just activate those points so it doesn't move. So if I move the shoulder, the hand, do you see like
it's way more natural? Way more natural, just like a real human. That's amazing.
And also it understands, for example, the rotate the position of the elbow based on the position of the wrist. Yeah, so these are the things that you don't have to think about. You can be, you can be just creative and, set up the pose, and it will just give you an idea of what's what. And imagine it works the other way around as well. So if you get in a situation where your like character is broken or something like this, or sometimes, with mocap animation, it comes out like this, and anyway. Or what I'm going to do. So instead of trying to like manually try to figure out what's going on, you can always unlock those points, and it will give you an accurate and consistent prediction for those points, not just on single frame, but on entire animation.
The whole keyframe, through the whole animation. Wow. That is a time saver. I can see the power already just in 5 minutes of showing this. This is amazing.
Yeah, I love that as well. And there's the same system for the hands. So you can just, by moving like one finger, you can then just quickly
Wow.
make a fist, for example, right?
Yeah.
And then you say like, okay, I like the position of these fingers, so I activate them, and then I deactivate the index finger, and then I'm pointing at something,
Yeah.
Easy as that, and you don't have to really, well, playing around with fingers is actually fun, but
Hand
it's
pose
quite,
is one of the hardest things. I mean, even in drawing, hands are one of the hardest things. And I think that translates also to 3D. Like posing hands is you really gotta study humans, and this is doing most of the work for you, which is great.
you can just be playful with it, and oftentimes it just looks like very almost mesmerizing.
Yeah.
How so imagine, like, so the first point, you get all these controls for your character, right? So you don't have to set them up manually, and of course you have this auto-posing rig which kind of predicts things, and then you have your normal IK/FK rig which just you can use to perfect the state. Both of them, they communicate with each other, both rigs. So if you make changes in this rig, it will also make changes in the auto-posing rig. So all cool. Another thing, I don't, you'll probably appreciate this as well. It's IK and FK at the same time. So if you want to move things in IK, and then you can also,
forward kinematics, rotate from here.
Rotate things as FK. So you don't have to switch. But then again, you see, like, I rotated it here, so it doesn't look natural.
You need to auto. Yeah. So you just pull it. Okay.
Yeah. So you would rather, okay, give me the prediction. So that's the auto-posing prediction for that position.
Wow.
So that's and I think I know people who are very keen on still working with, point control, like just because they want to be able to control every single little thing, at every single point. And when people do this, experienced people do this, it's very quick, right? It's a good break here. But for someone who has always struggled with, for example, the position of the back, or being scared to kind of like, what if I break the alignment? What if it just looks a little bit off? How do I fix that? For me, auto-posing is the way to go.
Yeah.
So, you just choose whatever works for you.
Toggle it. Yeah. But what I'm seeing here is that it's giving you both, right? I could see that you can quickly block something out, or even, and it's not going to look blocked because the auto-posing is going to really make it look really good. But then if you're one of those animators, like connoisseurs of animation, that wants to touch every little controller, then you can go in and do that afterwards, right?
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly what you can do. 100%. Yeah. So the next thing that we have, which is super cool and we're super excited, when you get into animation, how do you animate? So what are keyframes? What do you need to know? And we reduce this to the idea that you only need to know how to set up 2 keyframes to get animation. So we have currently keyframe on frame 0. So we have set a keyframe on frame 100 and say let's just move the character here.
Oh no.
Now, the next step, with after blocking, you have to interpolate, or there's spline, right? And normal interpolation will get your animation to look like this, right? And then you'll be like, ooh, my character is moving, but not exactly. What we have an interpolation, which we call AI interpolation, in betweening, right? So you can use that as interpolation, and instead of just moving like that, it will generate the animation between that frame and these 2 frames that you have.
Wow.
Now you have this, the character is walking.
Yeah.
Let's visualize the character center of mass. Let's, for example, move him somewhere else to the side. It updated. Now it walks here.
Yeah.
Wow. Right. Let's extend the distance. So, for example, we give it more time to actually. More distance.
More distance in the same time. Yeah. So he's gonna move fast.
So now it's running that.
Yeah.
At any point, you can put another keyframe, say here, and then you can either say move the character somewhere, and then it runs like this, right? So it
nice.
makes that point. Or you could you might as well just, raise the character up in the air and it will create some kind of a jump.
Oh my God. Okay.
Okay,
Awesome.
it's not perfect, right? It's not perfect, but it's something.
But it's working with
Now,
it's awesome.
yeah, it's the way it generates. It's dictated by the poses that you set. So, for example, when we were in this keyframe and we set a keyframe, it was like an action keyframe. So the character was running, and that's why it ran actually through this keyframe, right, without losing any like momentum or anything. But should we have a keyframe which is a static one, so the person's like standing, and let's just put it in the middle of our animation, you will see that the character will now sort of like stop for that keyframe and then start running again. So the animation that it generates is very much dictated by the poses that you set,
which is great, right? Yeah. Which is what you want.
So that would be the primary control for from your end for this particular tool. We have another generative tool which we just released. It's called Root Motion. That's a different generative model which allows you different kinds of, every time you click the button, it gives you a new result.
Yeah.
And then, it can generate different kinds of animations. And there, kind of like giving it, we can even try. So if we let's say, so we have this jump. I just want to make some kind of like a, still like a jumping pose.
Yeah, cool.
This looked like a jump to you.
Yeah, it looks like he's hurdling. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, you get something like this. Now, the coolest part here is that, okay, so you could tell that, it probably spends too much time in the air. The ballistic trajectory is not accurate. And there's another tool that we have that goes with it. It's called autophysics.
Wow.
Then autophysics really takes that, those like points of contact and all the ballistic trajectories into account. And then it creates like accurate ballistic trajectories. So you would get like a believable.
It looks like it
doesn't have to be.
Better weight, better gravity.
And then you can just play around with, how high you want this jump to be. And then autophysics will also make sure that it's sort of like it looks accurate and it looks physically correct. Wow. And then you can play around with different parameters and different sliders here. Yeah, just add secondary motion, things like this. And
oh man, that's cool.
And you see like physics makes it look
so
believable.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we're trying to do as animators, to get the timing and spacing right, so it feels like there's weight involved, right? That it feels realistic.
Yeah. And it always, sort of like moves the character along its moves the ballistic trajectory and the rotation along the character's center of mass. That's why, that's where physics comes from. Yeah. So if we change the pose, say in the middle of the jump to this one, just imagine, see like the center of mass has changed, and now it just gives us something like that. But you don't have to do these things manually. Although see like how it's completely broken with in betweening, but the physics sort of like tries to make sense.
The makes sense of it, yeah. And then what do you do next? And do you bake that down? Or
you can, and you can just, you can bake this physics result onto your animation.
Okay. And then
you could,
okay.
But the important thing here, I think, would be to just bake this into every single frame.
Enough,
I believe.
And then it'll interpolate the rest.
And I was just tracking something. Yeah. So you just apply it to every single keyframe. And then the best part is that you can still continue animating it, because currently we have literally 3 keyframes, right, that we essentially made, and then the rest is just baked animation. But we have a tool which is called animation unbaking, which turns any baked animation into a set of keyframes and interpolations. and it's a smart tool, so it doesn't just give you keyframes every other frame, or just makes less keyframes. So if not much is happening, it doesn't give you a lot of keyframes, but then when things start happening, then it gives you those keyframes to work with. So effectively what we've done, we turned that animation into keyframe animation, and then we can also decide how precise it should be. So this is just normal for these settings are just okay for to start with specifically with in-betweening, but you can have like less keyframes and leave it more for interpolation to figure out and stuff like that. So you basically got your keyframe animation in
and you can go and then and now I can go play with those keyframes and, like as we talked about, perfect them if I want to
for example, look here, I don't like the pose. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I'll just play around with these points that probably like maybe unlock this point.
And just for any aspiring animator out there, usually you wouldn't animate freely like this. You would have reference images in the background or a video image in the background which you're trying to match.
But the thing is that you can definitely apply those changes on either one frame or multiple frames. But the thing is that you can then work with this animation, and then again, once you made your changes, you can then run physics again and see what changed, and etc. etc. When you talk about references, sure, I wanted to do this example because this was actually keyframe animation from a reference. So that the point that I want to show, it's two things here. I want to show how autophysics works and how it can help with even more complex animation. And the other thing, I want to show how unbaking works, because it can be used, I believe, as you can like do some reverse engineering on how to actually keyframe an animation, just using this tool. Let me show you what I mean.
Awesome.
So that was that's what we say, because we are physics based, right? The most important thing is to find the point of context. So point of context should be your keyframes. That what we say, that what we tell people. So if you see here, like every time the person say touches the ground or comes in contact with the ground or loses contact with the ground, that's a keyframe. So there's a keyframe here. Then that's the last frame of contact for that for the right foot. That's a keyframe. Then this foot loses contact here. That's another keyframe, etc., etc. And then it comes in contact with the ground. And then there is just a couple of twists and turns. And obviously this, which try keyframing.
You'll get
see the problem.
You'll get gimbal lock, and you have to use the Euler filter, and you'll have to go like it gets messy very fast with the rotations.
To get those kinds of rotations and so many differences, it's very difficult. But I sort of just 1, 2, 3, 4 used 4 keyframes, and I basically took this pose of the character, and I was just I was just roughly like this, I was just rotating it in space, giving it roughly the position it should be. But now look, if we even track the character center of mass, and this is keyframe animation, I did not really change much. So all the trajectories are completely broken, right? They're not smooth, they don't make sense. But then once you use physics with it, you can then see how physics now fixes those trajectories for us. Let me just select character center of mass and then do like this. So already you see all the trajectories are correct, or make sense, they're ballistic. And then if you just check what physics did here, you can see how smooth the result is. And check this out. So it understands angular momentum and the velocities. And here it just gives you this crazy twist.
Yeah. It understands it. Wow.
Yeah, it's like falls too deep here because it's old settings. I think I used too much of smooth trajectory. We don't need that much. So again, it's a very quick fix, and there we go.
Wow.
The point is that, you can use physics then to guide you through, these things. You don't have to do them manually. And then the best part is that say the director comes in, right? Because that's the right. The director comes in is like, I don't want it to land here. I want him to land, somewhere else.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, but I've already done so much work, right? But what you could do, you could just say, take these frames, okay, and then move them somewhere else, and then autophysics will just,
make the jump.
propel this animation throughout. And this could be done at any point of the animation.
Yeah.
So should you have your, mocap, you can just increase the height of the jump, get the character spend more time in the air. It's still possible. Like we could as well here just say like we want to add time for the character in the air to make the jump higher. Well, yeah, we lost a little bit of the momentum there, but anyways.
And you just extended that. You just extended that time with a couple of hotkeys there. You just added frames.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then see still like you can get this animation go. Sometimes it will add a couple more rotations just because it has time, and I'm not mad at it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
You just sort of like get some variations from it. But that's the point. So you can work with it, and you can be playful with it. Yeah. And then look, if we match the physics with the character just to see what exactly it changes, and then we would say that, okay, but it changed the rotation in this frame, but I want this particular rotation. You can always go and say like, okay, let's use priority frame. Just keep this pose 100%. That could be true for, those points of contact, right? Here, obviously, it doesn't match perfectly because the ballistic trajectory is the priority, right? But normally, we can take any pose, say this pose, right? So see how physics shifted character's center of mass. But if we were to say like, this is the golden pose, I want you to keep it 100%, it will.
Yeah,
you just set priority, right? It will keep it 100%. And that's true for all the filters like secondary motion, all the kinds of stuff. So you can have a lot of secondary motion, but if you want, the characters, for example, hands to kind of meet at a certain point, you can say like that's, the priority. Or you can go as deep as say like, I want these particular points to match their global and local rotation there. And that's where you can have, this control over your character. See, like the physics will try to match that position, awesome, either globally or locally, and you can match this with.
And this matters, of course, depending on the shot, where the cameras are, what kind of silhouette you want, what kind of dynamic action you want to create in storytelling, because you got to remember you got cameras in there as well, unless it's a full 3D game. So yeah, that's amazing. I could see this. I mean, this is powerful. Like, and how much time it would have saved any animator on any show doing realistic humans, right?
So imagine we love the results. So we just apply the results, this kind of like quote unquote baked animation, but I will just make it fully baked. Like, let's do it like this. So, and trust me, it has no memory of where keyframes are, or, it doesn't see the difference between blue and green frames, but just to prove a point here. So imagine that would be the animation that you imported, right, from somewhere.
Yeah.
And that would be your, mocap or something. And then you could say that, okay, I want to unbake it now. And unbaking comes in multiple stages. So first, it evaluates the character's points of contact. See how now, like, these feet are in full contact. Now there's only one foot. Now there's a jump because both of them lose contact. Sorry. The point is, you can use this as a learning curve. So you can instead of just using all these 3 steps at the same time, you can initiate just the first one, which gives you the essential keyframes you would have to make in order for this animation to work. And check this out. The keyframes that it suggested are just exactly the ones that I did. It's the same logic, I did when I was keyframing this animation. Like, this foot loses contact, that's a keyframe. This is the last point of contact for this foot, that's a keyframe. Now we get into context here. That's another keyframe. So you can learn, how to keyframe certain things, and then you can initiate all the other steps and get your keyframe animation, but based on the changes that you've made or based on the animation that you have. And I think that's the cool point because, getting into it, you can just, do a lot of reverse engineering yourself, see how things work. And it's just...
I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like it's intuitive to get into and play around. You're not going to get lost in keyframes and make something and go, I can't fix this, because it seems like everything you do here has a simple solution to kind of either get you back on track or change things really easily. And it's really easy to kind of play with, right? Have fun with.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's, having fun makes things much more easier to learn, right? So that's amazing. That's really, really, really cool. So a few questions. What about creatures and vehicles and stuff?
With creatures, so now we have auto posing for quadrupeds.
Wow.
So same way as you rig humanoid characters, you can rig quadrupeds, and you can also retarget animation between different quadrupeds. You can rig anything you want here: dragons, snakes, what have you. You can use physics with all of that, right? You don't have to have, this auto posing tool for humanoids. You would have to use this rig for most creatures, right? Which would be your normal, as I said, IK/FK rig with like relaxation and all the kinds of stuff. But so it will not predict poses, but still, you can animate anything and you can use physics with anything. You have like a bag and you can have some weight to it and some dimensions to it. And then it will also play into the characters like center of mass and etc. About stylized animation that you mentioned earlier, like squash and stretch, right? We are currently working at a convenient set of tools because right now I think, and I do believe, I'm not sure if I'm fully if it's going to work, but I believe currently we have a Band-Aid
the solution
version for that, where you sort of like you hard lock every single point, and then you can kind of like stretch characters' arms.
Okay, but cheating there.
Cool. But you still like not like it stretches proportionally, but not. That's cool. You can kind of do that. It's fun.
That's so much fun.
But we're working on the solution which actually gets you, some proper squash and stretch.
Yeah, and you guys are updating the software as it goes. I mean, there's always constant updates, and I always see people so happy with the new updates out there. So it's a constant cycle of iteration as you guys improve the tools and I guess respond to users' needs, right?
Yeah, and we try to listen because, actually what really helps is working with companies, and when they try test Cascadeur or they implement Cascadeur into their pipeline, getting that feedback is very important because there's a huge list of things that we want to bring into the software, but listening to those to their needs gives us a very good understanding. Okay, this is what people are looking for in like real pipelines, in the companies, etc. And sometimes they may take some priority, but we're working on it. And honestly, like a year ago, in betweening was not even a thing.
Wow.
It just wasn't. Right. Wow. And a year ago, it was updated. And it became this, real-time solution that updates in real time. Again, like a few months ago, it wasn't a thing, and now we have like a different kind of like generative animation, root motion here, and lots of things like this. And every time we update it, I think 3 times a year, roughly. But those updates tend to be very, inspiring and
and I think that's the right way to go around it, right? Anytime you're making a game or you need to do updates to any piece of software, and there's a saying, you have to get permission from your users to do so. It's got to be something that they're asking for. I mean, if you're updating stuff that you are assuming they want and they don't want, then it's a waste of time and you're going to not make them happy. But things that, that's why you have probably an active community, which are calling for all these little changes. And if 100 people are saying the same thing, usually that's a good indicator that that's something that you should implement because 100 people are looking for it.
Very true. Yeah, I agree. Because and we do listen, and we actually appreciate the community as well on Discord, and I think it's a very good place that we've created where people also take part in it. If you have questions, you can always ask the question. There will be like multiple people are like answering probably before even we do. It's just the cool thing. A quick thing I wanted to show you. So say you had this animation on your character, right? But then you'd be like, well, what if I want, this on a different character, say on like a robot or something.
Mm-hmm.
Let me quickly show you this. Just if we delete all the frames and we have this just as in betweening.
I love the arms. I love the arms.
Let's keep them. I don't know what's going to happen, but let's keep them. Say we have this running animation, very simple one. So the way to retarget the animation would be you just create retargeting copy, and the retargeting works on humanoid or quadrupeds who are rigged using this quick rigging tool. So this has to be this auto-posing rig has to be in place.
Yes.
And then we go to this robot, we just select enough frames and we go like edit, retargeting, paste. As simple as that. We just retarget the animation from a character to the robot.
Wow.
But the cool thing is, if you compare them, they are of a completely different size and scale. And you see that it takes into account, the differences in proportion. So the robot runs, larger distance just because it has longer legs and such, right? And then you can notice that, okay, but, the feet are sliding, they are falling through the ground and it's like not accurate. How do I fix that? And there's a button for it, right? So you just click literally a single button, which is called fulcrum motion cleaning. It will push the feet out of the surface and prevent them from sliding. Wow. So now you have like your accurate
That's amazing.
feet motion.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Just very quickly to showcase a more difficult or more complex animation, just retargeting paste here.
Mm-hmm.
So this tricky animation that we have, the robot. Yeah. So now it's sort of like retargeted it. It's sort of imagine like it copied the animation that we had and tried to make sense of it here with the proportions of the robot. The only thing I would still like clean up the feet just very quickly, just to make sure that they're not sliding around. But now the robot is different, right? Its center of mass is different. Now, if we have a physics pass through it, you will see that physics will actually change the way the robot jumps, because it will make the jumps a little bit lower, and it kind of like, because, and it if you look at it, give me a sec, let me get a better view here. I'll just turn off these so they don't get in the way. If you compare the two, you can kind of see that the physics result makes a little bit more sense just because of the robots.
The rotation of axis there, right? It's around the core. The core is different, the proportion, and it's making up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like using physics can sort of like make your animation make sense for that particular character that you're.
So if we now, for example, had a dwarf character with shorter legs and stumpier legs, the physics would take that into account, that his legs are shorter. This is where his center of mass is, and it would rotate differently around that as well.
Exactly, and we can change those things on the fly as well. So for instance, let's say this robot's head or the torso was, let's make it head. I like this example. Okay. It's just because it was right now. And again, this robot weighs the same as a human character, because weight here, we don't have information about like muscle strength. It's only the weight and the the distribution of weight which plays into the character's center of mass. That's what makes that. So don't expect to make like a heavy character and it to sort of like stumble. No, it's going to, like, all this weight plays into, you know, the character's center of mass. Let's make its head weigh like 100 kilograms, right? And now you see this is where the center of mass has moved, has shifted closer to the head, right? And obviously the animation itself would not change, but if we check the physics, now it sort of like rotates as a hammer, right, around.
Where did you change the weight? I didn't see where you were typing that, but that was cool. I was gonna ask it if you could.
So this rig, so these are the rigid bodies that your character has, and each rigid body has its own proportions, and it has some weight assigned to it.
Oh, okay.
So you can change this weight at any point and then see how it affects the character. And the same could be true for, say, a weapon. So the character holds a weapon. The weapon also plays into the weight distribution then, right? Like this hand. Imagine it had, you know, 100 kilogram sword. This would be the character's center of mass, and see how it updates in every
delays. Yeah. Wow, that's so cool. I was going to ask that question, but you jumped to it. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's absolutely dramatic. I'm sorry. 100 kilograms is more like the weight than the weight of the robot.
I know.
You see how it's like completely changes the animation.
But if you, and this is all about the believability. So if you do have a sword which weighs, let's say, 5 kilos or 7 kilos, then you still get that realistic drag that the sword would do with the weighting of it, which is super cool.
And these are the things that you can play around with and see what happens, right? So it's not like nothing is forced on you, or nothing is, you know, you can try this thing, see how it works. If you like the results, you can stick with it. If you don't like it, you can keep trying and go for different, you know, like values, etc. So this is where, you know, this playful side of Cascadeur really shines. And
it's amazing.
So you can just play around, get iterations, try different things for different characters, and, you know, just have fun.
Yeah, it looks like fun. It just looks like fun, and to your point, I just think it's going to be such a easy way of onboarding people to animation, and having fun makes things more enjoyable. You stick around if things are more fun, right? It's retention.
Exactly.
That's really amazing. So just to kind of, what are some common misconceptions with Cascadeur that you maybe want to talk about, and fears people have?
Yeah, so when people hear AI, and I don't blame them nowadays, it kind of feels like, okay, this is something that is impossible to control or very hard to control, and this is something that does not, you know, takes away like creativity or something, you know. For this, sometimes people can think this, but as you can see, AI here is there to just help you get somewhere quicker, right? Or help you guide you through certain, you know, moments. So you don't have to actively think about certain things. You don't have to actively think how, you know, a human body works. You can just, you know, play around with the pose and see certain things change, and those changes would probably be, you know, correct. But then you always have this level of control over it. So you can control it with poses. You can control it with, say, priority frames when it comes to physics. And this level of control goes from just using this slider, how much physics you want to apply, to just going to every single particular point of the character, you know, and just adjusting how much of secondary motion it has, how much it ragdolls, or how much of, you know, like other filter it has on each particular frame. So you can zoom in as much as you want. You can have as much of control as possible. Even with physics, by the way, oftentimes, you know, people don't, animators may not even apply the physics results. They would be like, oh, this is what you think I should do here. So they would just, you know, freeze the physics and then take their character, and then they would correct the pose of their character.
I like that.
Based on the physics regimes, right? So they would be like, I'm still in charge. Okay, I see what you suggest. I should do. You know, I will see how much of that I want.
Yeah. You be the director. You be in charge. I think that's super cool, super powerful.
Yeah, so what we try to show people is that, it's easy to make your first steps in the animation. It's very easy now with all this in betweening and generative tools to kind of like get the general idea out there and see how it plays out, make corrections, make certain changes before you sort of like lock in and then say like, yeah, that's what I want to do, and then spend more time, perfecting the results that you get first,
That's
couple of
amazing.
minutes or a couple of hours. So that's the point. So we don't want to take creativity away. We want to give people more time to be creative,
I think what a beautiful statement.
And
I can't wait to jump into doing this myself. And if I'm learning this, is what kind of resources, links, or websites, courses, documents? Where would you send people?
I think I would probably send people to our Discord channel. I believe Discord community is the biggest and the best
Yeah,
that we have. Also, our official YouTube channel.
yeah.
Definitely check that one out, because every time a new version comes out, there's tutorials and there's all kinds of stuff that we try to highlight. All the what do you call it? All the changes, all the new tools. We have tutorials on them, so you can learn there as well. And also, we now have a learning portal on our official website. You go cascadeur.com/learn, and this is where we collect all the different tutorials from different creators all across YouTube, in a single place, with where you can use different hashtags like physics or posing, mocap cleanup or something like this, and it will show videos not only from our channel but also from the channel of other creators who tackle those
That's amazing.
those.
That's amazing. We'll leave those. We'll leave those links in the show notes as well. So what are you excited about next?
I'm excited to get into quadrupeds and start animating them, because I have like a few ideas for, like animal animation in a game or something. That's I'm excited about. Also, I think we recently got like mega grants from Epic
Hey.
to develop this live link with Unreal Engine. So now we have this cool live link, which sort of links your animation in real time to Unreal, and instantaneously like exports it there, so you can make changes. It will update in Unreal. Very cool feature.
Oh, I can't
We
wait to play with
actually,
that. That's gonna be amazing.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, we had a live stream last week with Inside Unreal, I believe, and we showcased this live link there. So, and we further on want to develop, better connectivity, so you would be able to drag and draw or drag assets from back and forth from Cascadeur or from Unreal to Cascadeur, make them physics objects and get your character to interact with them, add probably facial animation and stuff. And yeah, just seeing where it goes, because I love where it is right now, because already I know that I have quite a few ideas that I can now, in an observable amount of time or in a fathomable amount of time, complete, or carry out in some way. But yeah, sort of like seeing where it goes is just, it's very exciting.
That's awesome. And I also know from Tom, your colleague, he spoke about how you're supporting universities with licenses, right?
Yes.
And that's amazing, right? You're really trying to empower and get these students and teachers to use your software so they can learn. I mean, this software, I can say from a Chris Ebeling point of view and seeing what you've done, it's definitely not going away. It's only going to get better, and it's here to empower the future of animation, content creation, digital content creation. So, I mean, I guess the advice for students out there is you should play with this. You should try to get your hands on it. If your school doesn't have it yet, you should get in touch with Cascadeur, because you guys do offer licenses, student licenses, and really want to support education, right?
True, very true. And something that I've noticed, because I've ran a couple of lectures with students as well, and there's such a different vibe that you get from that, because when you see, when you, I don't want it's nothing to say against people in the industry or anything, but sometimes people are so like locked in their pipeline or what they are comfortable with, even though if the workflow is not convenient at all. They just know what they're doing and they have a right for it, right?
Yes.
But when you see like students who struggle with certain things and, then you show them, a couple of tools and their eyes literally, just sparkle with ideas like, oh, I could do this, or I could try that. It's just priceless. It's just like the life is worth living.
And you hit the nail on the head. I mean, there are some old dogs out there who don't like new tricks, right? But if there's anything we're seeing right now in this industry, is change is happening. I mean, it's always happened. If you look 10 years back, it's 10 years ago to where we are today, and then look at the change happening today, it's at a exponential speed. So one thing we do have to do is be adaptable. We have to stay curious. We have to pick up new tools, new processes, and try out new things and figure out new ways to create. And nothing is permanent, and we have to embrace that. I think that's the number one thing I always tell students is you just gotta be okay. Like, it's transferable skills we're talking about here, because Cascadeur is here today, and Cascadeur is going to be here for the next 10 years, but hopefully more. But who knows what's next, right? The same with Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is a leading engine today, but who knows what's going to be the next engine? And you need to just be ready to embrace what's the new and the next. So, which we have been doing for centuries already.
Which is true, and there's so many skips recently that happened in the industry, right? With Unreal Engine, given this, real-time render out of nowhere. Back in the day, you would use V-Ray and spend, allocate chunks of time for it to render, even if you're using like farms, etc. And same here. So now you can be playful with your animation. You can just, think about, Frankenstein, your ideas, things from everywhere, and just put them together, see how they work, use physics to sort of like blend this all in. The opportunities that it gives. But the one thing that I wanted to mention is that I know how it feels when you spend years upon years to learn something, and then the solution comes out for it. They kind of like disregards everything, or gets you to disregard everything that you've learned. It happened to me once because I was heavy into rigging and creating the rig for my character in Maya. And I remember I had like this thick of a book where I put all the notes about how you create fingers, how you create the spine, what's the correct controllers to kind of like get it to switch between IK and FK. And then Human IK came out, and I was like, why did I spend all these years? What did I spend all these years for? Like, why do I need this book anymore? Because like that solution, which kind of does things very quickly, and there's already the rig which has all those things in it. So what do I do with the knowledge that I gained?
And I would argue that rigs better than the person who doesn't, who just uses Human IK, right? Then you actually understand how it's built, and if you need to go in and change things and make unique changes, then you actually have the foundational skills to go and make those changes. And it's similar to what we're seeing here. I would argue that, yes, anybody can animate with Cascadeur, but someone who understands animation and knows how keyframes and the 12 principles work and all that stuff, understands weight, timing, spacing, and composition, storytelling, acting, they will get better use out of this tool. And I think it's the similar thing that we're seeing with AI, right? We're seeing a lot of what they call AI slop out there. You put rubbish in and you get rubbish out. But if you are a director and you know how to compose, you understand storytelling language, narrative, pacing of movies, character creation, concept, color theory, then you can control AI to be a tool now where it's not just, now you're not putting rubbish in, you're actually putting good knowledge, hard and foundational skills in, which will in turn make your work look better, right? And I think this is the key.
Yes, and that's definitely because what I'm thinking about this, AI slop or something personally, the most difficult part is just to getting your idea across, like making sure that the cameraman, the someone who dresses up the stage or gets the characters, sort of like actors, they have your vision.
Yes.
And oftentimes that's the most difficult part. That's where you sort of like have to step in and say like, no, just put the camera here. I want this angle. And with this technology, you are able at least to kind of say like, this is what I want to get,
This is real-time animation at its best. This has been amazing, Max.
Thank you so much. Yeah. No, it's been fun. fun. I hope we manage to get a couple of ideas across and showcase people and probably inspire someone to just give it a try.
I think they will, and I'm gonna leave all the show with links. You're gonna send me all the links, or you've already given me links that I can leave in the show notes, and we're gonna point people your way. Hopefully, there'll be some new people in your Discord and people coming and asking questions, because you gotta stay curious. You gotta always be learning. That's the key to a constant development and relentless self-improvement, really, because nothing is perfect and nothing is permanent. We just got to keep on keeping on. And thank you so much, Max. This was an absolute pleasure. Any last words?
I think we are living in a very exciting time in terms of technology, and that now, a lot of things that could be unimaginable, 10 years ago now are quite possible to carry out. And I think it's a very cool place in time to be creative, to try things out and see where it goes.
Beautiful. Well said. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you on the other side.
See you. Thank you so much for having me.
And that is a wrap. Thank you so much, Max Makishi. What an enlightening show. Thanks for showing us the power of Cascadeur, telling us about where you think the industry is heading and how these tools are empowering creativity so that now anyone and almost anywhere can become an animator. That is quite special. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. Please follow Max on LinkedIn. Please sign up and check out Cascadeur. It will all be in the show notes. And as well as, please, follow me, your host, Chris Ebeling, aka Ebs. I'm on LinkedIn. We're still getting started. I'm always excited to hear what you're working on. So if you think you want to go on the show and tell us about your new processes and technology and want to share this with the world, please reach out. We're always looking for exciting guests and exciting new processes and technology. At the end of the day, what we care about is knowledge sharing, inclusivity, accessibility, and making sure that anyone, anywhere can see what's going on now in this industry that is ever changing. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm grateful. And hopefully see you on the next one. Peace.